Hello, everybody. I'm Jesse Sanchez, and welcome to this edition of the main event. Today, we have a very special episode. Today, we have featherweight contender, who's the 12-time national champion, two-time U.S. team member and world team member. She served 5 years active duty in the U.S. Army as an engineer, and she's currently a full-time student pursuing her bachelor's in exercise science. On Zoom, we have Rianna Rios. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
I hyped you up, didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for your service.
Of course.
As a boxing professional and going to school, I commend you. I think that you're setting off the bat. You're already setting examples for a lot of women, especially a minority. So thank you so much for that. You probably don't hear that every day, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you're coming off your second victory, your second professional fight. I was watching the fight, and in the video that I saw, one of the judges had it tied, which in my opinion, it wasn't. But the face that you make in that moment, I don't know if you realize, you looked at him like, what was, walk us through it. What was going through your feeling when you first heard that first? Did you think something wasn't going to turn out the way?
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I was like, what the? I looked over at my coach, and my coaches looked back at me like, I don't know, and I didn't hear anything else after that. I didn't hear the other scorecards. All I felt was the ref raised my hand, and I was like, oh, okay. They made the right decision, but I was pretty upset. I'll tell you that.
Were you scared when you first heard it though? Like you were like,
I wasn't scared. I mean, I knew I dominated from round 1 to 4, I was in control. I was pushing the pace. I was winning convincingly. I was just more upset that he saw a draw when there wasn't really no competition level wise. I think I pulled away after the first minute and a half of the first round, and that was it.
When's your next fight?
I'm not too sure yet. Looking to close out the year strong, so hopefully end of November, early December. But I'm definitely going to fight before the end of the year is up.
So far in your very young career, it seems like you've done a lot and you've grew up boxing, if I'm not mistaken, at the age of 10. Where did the love of boxing come from? And if you can tell us what was the journey like turning pro? Because a lot don't know that, you had the opportunity to, be in the Olympics, and you actually were 12-time national champion. Can you walk us through that?
Yep. So my father boxed. He was a boxer. He boxed professionally, and I was always in the gym with him. That's pretty much where I picked up the love for the sport. And I loved to fight when I was younger. I liked to put the gloves on with my cousins, my brothers, and fight. And I didn't understand when I was young that there's different aspects of boxing, right? So it's not just fighting. There's actually a science to it, and that's what I fell in love with. Because I could fight, but when I stepped in the boxing ring, it was totally different, so it was a challenge, and I'm a competitive person. So once that competitiveness kicked in, I wanted to be the best, and I was losing early in my career. Like when I first started boxing, I lost my first couple. And I was like, no, I'm going to win. I'm going to be a world champion. I'm going to do this. That's pretty much where I picked it up, though.
When you got your first defeat, a lot of people at that time will either quit or they change. They'll more than likely give up. How did you learn from that? And I think that that's something that we should highlight because, again, you're 2-0 as a professional, so you had to learn something along that journey.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I lost a handful of times in amateurs. So that's where you learn. That's why they have amateur boxing. So you don't just jump right into the pros, right? You work your way up. And like I said, I'm competitive. So when I lost, it wasn't like, oh, I lost. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna give up. And no, it was like, I took it out. I'm back in the gym on Monday. I'm gonna figure it out and get it back. That was my initial thought. And I still have that type of mindset to this day. I don't see myself losing. I don't see anybody who's in my weight class that would beat me. But if I were to end up losing one day, that would be my mindset. Like, all right, we lost, we took it now, back to the gym, let's get it back. I think that's the kind of mindset you have to have in a sport like this.
Now, as a professional boxer, the rounds are a little different. If I'm not mistaken, is it 2 minutes instead of 3?
Right? Yeah, it's 2 minutes, and it's a pro.
I don't feel like that's enough time because I feel like it's
No,
not, right?
it's not. And by the time you get your groove going, the bell rings.
Yeah, because there was like, I think round 2 or round 3, I was like, she's about to go down, and then so sometimes it
Yeah,
doesn't work to that advantage.
yeah, it sucks, but it's part of, hopefully they change it and make these changes for women boxing. And I don't think women get paid enough to fight 3-minute rounds yet anyway. So I think once them paychecks start increasing, then they should increase the length of the round.
Being that you're 2-0 and the championships, one day you're gonna get there, you're gonna fight, those championships. Are you in any rush to get there, or is there a plan where you just right now are just taking it kind of slow, a couple of more fights?
I'm not in a rush. I believe if it were to come up and I had the opportunity to fight for a world championship, I would take it. I have all the confidence in my team, so if what they're putting in front of me is what I'm going to do, So I leave that up to them to make those decisions. And they'll know when the time is right. Just keep working.
And growing up, when you told your parents that you wanted to become a boxer, what was that reaction? What did they say?
My father was like, "You don't want to box. you don't know what it is, And I was like, "Yes, I do. I want to box. I want to be a fighter." And he made me spar the first day in the gym just so I could see that it's not what it looks to be, So I could get that humble right off the bat.
That reality?
So, yeah, that reality check that you just don't go in there and fight. You got to work your way up and learn fundamentals and the basics and all that. So it was, I would say I was humbled quickly just so that I was able to actually understand the sport of boxing. But my mother, she was all for it. As long as I was training hard and I was showing that I was disciplined and like pursuing my goals and things like that. So they've always been a strong support system, and they are the reason why I'm where I'm at, so to say.
As you were serving in the military, were you still in training? Did you still have opportunity to do that?
Yeah, so I boxed for the Army's world-class athlete program. So they have a program in the Army that allows you to pursue your Olympic dreams. All you do is box, train, and then you have to handle like your Army job and whatnot on the side. But yeah, I was blessed to do that. I served my country and boxed, So it was hard, but it was a great great life lesson, I would say. Something I will it's like in my heart, it's engraved there. So
yeah. And it's awesome because again, your story is like no other. You started young, you went to the military, you came out, and just even in this conversation, you seem like I could tell that you're ready to be a champion, but you're ready when it comes to you, so you're playing that chess game perfectly, patience wise.
Thank you.
For the young girl that's out there right now, and honestly, I'll say this with a lot of confidence, you're going to be a role model to a lot of people. Do you feel a little bit of pressure in that? Or is there a legacy that you want to put your name stamped in the future?
Right. I don't think there's any pressure in that. If anything, it gives me more of a reason to continue to put myself out there and be a role model, like you said, for these young girls who are coming behind me. I didn't have too many women who were doing this. You had Marlene Esparza, Queen Underwood, Franchon Cruz. You had them doing it, but there wasn't very many of them. So to be one of those women pioneers pushing the sport of boxing, it's great for myself to stamp a legacy, like you said. Because I don't really just want to be known as a world champion, former world champion. I want to be known as a good person, someone who did something for others, and I think these young girls are going to be 100% better than the women you see boxing right now because they have that role model and that idol person they look up to and want to be like. So I think it'll grow, and it's growing right now, right? But eventually it'll be what you see the men doing in sport boxing.
What is something like outside of the gym that a lot of us as fans are not aware of? I would think just off the bat that whenever you do a lot of sparring, there's not a lot of women or in your weight class by itself. Are you at a disadvantage? Do you find that as a disadvantage sometimes?
Not at all. I mean, I spar with the young men in the gym, the young teenagers, and they were all national champions, nationally ranked, and they give me the best work. They push me. They elevate my game, I would say, because they're faster, stronger, a little bigger, and that's what I need. And there's not very many women around the DMV because I live in Maryland, so there's not very many women around here to work with. So as a woman, you work with what you got, and I'm grateful to have them in the gym, because they don't see me as a woman. They see me as a boxer, and that's how we work. That's how we spar, train together, and I have a solid team, so I definitely get the work I need here.
In your training camp, is there someone that you do a lot of training with that's a prospect or that's on their way to become pro?
Yep. So I train a lot alongside Lamont Roach Jr. He fought Jamel Herring a while back for the world title. He lost, but I think he would have knocked him out had he had a little more time in that round. He hurt him. But I train alongside him. I do strength conditioning with Michael Fox and Alantez Fox. So I'm surrounded by a great group of guys who push me, motivate me.
Now, sorry to cut you off. The hardest part for you when you became a professional, I know that when I speak to a lot of, contenders, and then they're ready for the next step, they say that lifting weights was probably the big adjustment because they're not used to it. What was it for you? Was it like the diet? Was it the extra training? What would you say was a big change?
The only thing I would say was a big change was the no headgear, obviously, the smaller gloves, and then the time length of the rounds, right? So as an amateur, I was fighting 3-minute rounds. So I had a little more time to use the jab and work, but as a pro, we only fight 2-minute rounds. But as far as everything else, I've always done strength and conditioning and watching my diet and all that. So that's part of being a boxer, whether you're an amateur or a pro.
Growing up, who would you try to mimic? What type of boxers were you trying to mimic?
I wouldn't say there was like one specific boxer, but I would watch a lot of different boxing. Edwin Valero, Manny Pacquiao, of course, southpaw. You have to. I liked watching Hector Camacho. His flashiness, footwork. Chavez, Marquez,
senior, not junior, right? Not junior.
No,
right?
not junior. No.
You got to make sure you say senior.
Yeah, it's senior. But yeah, I just watch a lot of different and then just put it all into one style.
Yeah, we kind of touched on this. Do you feel like the women's boxing in the U.S. is on a rise? I know that in other countries, it's a little bit more, it's more recognized. Do you feel like we're getting there?
We're definitely getting there. It's actually slower here, I think. But I think we're getting there. You see Clarissa Shields, Samantha Serrano, Kayla Mayer, Marlene, Sanisa. You see these women on these bigger platforms. And I think you'll start seeing more of it. Just COVID happened, so I think that slowed a lot of it down. So I think once it gets moving, it gets going, and there's more cards, I think you'll start to see a lot more women on these cards.
I would love to see an all-woman pay-per-view event. soon. I think that, it happens in UFC. I've seen it. I think, in wrestling, they did it, which is we need it in boxing. I think that that's going to help the sport a lot. And hopefully, would you be part of that if you fight in that card? That'd be awesome.
If I had the opportunity to, I would definitely take it. That's history in itself. Whenever you see cards full of women constantly, I think that's a good time to say, okay, we've kicked the door down, and it's no longer just a man's sport. It's women do it too. I think that's the next step for us as women.
Now, is it different from fight week? Like, as far as boxers, there's sometimes no respect. I mean, they respect each other, but meaning it's a little bit different because there's a lot, where in your case, there's a few. Do you feel like if you really needed the advice or the advantage, a professional boxer would reach out to you and give you that kind of, what's the guidance? There you go. Sorry, it took me a while.
I think so. I think
for advice.
Yeah, I think so. There's very few of us, right? There's not very many of us, but the ones you do know of, we pretty much know each other. We boxed in the amateurs together. We were on Team USA together. So I think if I ever needed advice or something along those lines, I would be able to reach out to a lot of these pro women boxers, and they would definitely help. And vice versa, I have no hard feelings or animosity towards anybody. It's a sport, and that's what it is.
What is one thing that, if you had to start all over again, that you would say, I wouldn't go that route, that maybe you can help someone that's listening to make the journey easier?
That's a good question. I don't know. I everything that has happened or that led up to where I'm at now, it happened for a reason. Because I'm where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be, right? But I would just say listening to your gut, following your gut, and not making decisions based off of other people's opinions or thoughts or pressure or anything like that. Whatever your gut tells you to do, and it makes sense, obviously do it. I think that would be the best advice I could give to someone, because I definitely wouldn't say don't do this or that. Then you would never learn, right?
Yeah. How important is your corner as a professional, to trust, between the rounds?
I would say you definitely have to have a lot of trust and confidence in them, because most boxers aren't going to quit or give up, so you definitely have to have that trust, confidence, and belief in your corner that if something was to happen, they would do right by you and make the best decisions, and they're the ones who come up with the game plan, so whatever they say, you do and you execute. And I'm grateful and appreciative of my corner, because they definitely got my back, and whatever I need, whatever it is, they're always there. So definitely got a lot of love from the men in my corner.
The aspects as far as, the promotions, the contracts, sometimes is that, as a professional, does it become sometimes a distraction, or sometimes it's kind of like, can you stress about it?
I mean, you can definitely stress about it. I mean, that's your paycheck, if that's all you're doing and that's the only income you have, then I can see where a lot of boxers and teams would have a problem with that type of stuff. But if you have a solid team and a solid manager and things like that, then I mean, I don't see why you should be stressing about it. I don't stress about it. I know my manager, Lamar Roach Sr., is going to do whatever he can to make sure I'm getting the most out of it, So you definitely have to have confidence and trust in your team that they're making the best decision for you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you have to say in that. So
And I always like to bring that up because I think that as a fan, we always want to see the best fights that's out there. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's the contract doesn't sound right. As a professional, you're putting your life on the line. So if it doesn't make sense, I can respect it. But as a fan, I'm like, damn. So I always want to see if that sometimes could that be the issue,
Yeah.
A lot of times.
A lot of the times I think that's the issue. Because like you said, you're putting your life on the line and you're gonna get pennies. No way, that's doesn't make any sense. So
yeah. Because at the end of the day, I don't think a professional boxer is going to be afraid of another one because they're both, they're professionals. Like you're either going to go win or you're going to, so it's hard to imagine that. What is a fight that you're looking forward to next year? Is there a fight that you want to see happen?
Next year, I would like to see. Yeah, next year I would like to see Crawford Spence. Would we ever get it? I don't think so, but I would like to see Crawford and Spence. I'm a fan of both.
Yeah, I mean that eye injury. I don't know if it's going to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's something serious, to vision. But and of course Canelo. I don't care who, just Canelo. I'm a big Canelo fan. So,
do you want to see him face anyone else? Like after?
No, I mean I would like to see him with Benavidez. I think that would be a good scrap. But I don't see anybody beating him. No.
Yeah, that fight exactly. That's the one I really want to see. I want to see Benavidez and Canelo. I think that'd be a perfect matchup. Real quick before I let you go, I'm just gonna put you on the spot. Quick questions, quick answers. Okay, just quick combos. What is something in the gym that a lot of fans are not aware of? Like, what is, just anything? Anything that pops in your head about the gym story that maybe a lot of us don't know about. Like,
it's not always serious. There's always joking, laughing, going on. And you definitely walk in and be like, I thought this was a boxing gym. Everybody laughing,
Okay. It's not the library.
Yeah, right. It's not the library.
What is your whenever you go on training, what is something that you enjoy eating? Because I know when you're training, there's a lot,
Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes?
Sweet potatoes, yep. Not very many carbs you can eat. So sweet potatoes is one of my favorites.
After the fight, what do you like to eat?
So I have this thing where after every fight, I eat a hamburger with bacon and fries.
Is there a particular place that you like, or it just doesn't matter?
It just doesn't matter at the time. If I could, it would be Whataburger every time, but there's no Whataburger over here.
There's not?
No, unfortunately, no.
That's how we know we're from Texas.
Right.
What is, last thing, what is something that a lot of people don't know about you?
A lot of people don't know a lot about me.
Like, is there a special talent, or is there a ritual you have before a fight?
Are you superstitious? Not really. I'm superstitious. I have the same routine before every fight. Definitely. Before every fight, I have to eat breakfast, shower, pray, and then I'm good to go.
In that order?
In that order. It has to be in that order.
Got you. What is how do you want to leave your legacy? What is the most important thing that, if there's one takeaway, someone's listening, watching, what would you want them to hear?
At the end of the day, it's not, for me anyway, it's not just about being a world champion, right? It's about being a good person and being able to give back to my community, where I grew up, where I was raised. Not a lot of people leave or make it out of there, and I was very fortunate to have parents who kept me on the right path. So when I'm done boxing, I definitely want to give back to the youth in my community. And that's what I want to be known for, helping the kids get out, whether it's through sport, school, whatever it is, military. But that's definitely what I want to be known for.
Outside the ring. Yeah.
outside of it.
That's where a lot of people become champions, you know, like Pacquiao, Muhammad Ali, like they're just known for the things they've done outside and inside the ring.
Right.
Where can we find you? What social media do you use the most? And
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Rianna Rios on Instagram. That's probably where you'll see a lot more content being pushed through. I have a Twitter, but I don't really use it. But I do have one. And then Facebook, of course. But Instagram is probably the best place to follow me in. So it's at Rianna Rios.
Now, do you have a website where people can purchase your merchandise, your shirts and?
Yep. So it's millions.co. They can buy Team Rios t-shirts, hoodies, things like that.
And for those that don't know, some of the portions you give, you donate, right? Isn't it too?
Most of the time, yes. So right now I'm working with the Pink Berets. It's a veterans women-led organization that helps women veterans. So
awesome.
That's where I push most of my donations to as of right now. So hopefully I start to pick up more nonprofit organizations and help them as well.
And again, everyone, that information will be down in the description. Before I let you go, is there anything you want to say? Any sponsorships, shout outs you want to give, special someone? Or is there anything that I didn't ask that you want us to know about?
I think you covered everything, but a quick shout out to Team No Excuse. That's my team.
That's the camp.
My family. And my sponsors, R&M Boxing, Live Hard, Alex Love, Downtown Fades, and Alpha Company, Warrior. She's a public relations. So 3 of my 4 sponsors are all veterans and previously served in the Army. So shout out to them and thank them for their service.
Wow.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I mean, I love your story. It's awesome.
Thank you.